Hello YouTube. Okay, I'm going to try to shoot another video. My last two attempts at a video both ended with Obamaphone 4 crashing and leaving behind files that are taking up space but not openable. The last one was about 800 megs, so I've gone ahead and kept it. I'm hoping maybe I can repair it. The one before, I had just barely started talking and I just deleted it in frustration. So it's Saturday evening. I've been laying in bed most of the day thinking it's Sunday. I'm confused. What can I say? Oh, by the way, there's more of those large metal poles. As I stated in a previous video, looks like the power company is replacing all the old wooden poles on the power main along 79th Avenue. I've never walked this path before. Not like it's a really big deal, but I just noticed that this looked pretty walkable and figured it'd be a nice diversion from the usual sidewalk. By the way, what time is it? 6:36 p.m. Today is the 6th of May. Ooh, that dirt is really loose. 6th of May, 2023. As I said, it's a Saturday, even though for some reason all day today I thought it was Sunday. The corn is in bloom, which it seems like the last time I walked through this field, it was just dirt. It amazes me how fast this corn comes up when it comes up, and I've got some videos of me walking around this field last year to where the corn, right now I'd say it's probably about as high as my waist, but there comes a point where the corn gets a whole lot taller than me, so that's kind of neat. So this is, things have been pretty bad since yesterday. I'm not sure where to start, and my last two attempts to start just resulted in my phone crashing. It hasn't crashed since I got on the Route 3 bus, so maybe, just maybe, whatever the issue is, I've managed to finally clear off enough space that I've resolved it. I'm hoping. Anyway, so I haven't yet uploaded the videos from yesterday, but by the time this is uploaded, of course, they will have been uploaded, and y'all will have seen that I had a really awkward moment involving Rob of R&L Automotive, who's been my mechanic for a long, long time, and friend, or so I thought. Yeah, I took the bus over to his shop, and which basically is taking the route. Actually, what I did is I took a Lime scooter from like right in front of the PetSmart in the Arcadia Crossing Shopping Center. I took it over to more of those giant metal poles. I took it over to the Wells Fargo Bank there at Thomas and 44th, and then walked over to the Chase Bank, so I deposit some money in there. I was expecting I might take a Waymo, and I'm pretty sure Waymo pulls its funds out of my Chase account via my PayPal. I think that's how I have that set up. Sometimes the way my banking is so convoluted, I don't even understand it myself, and it just helps when there's a lot of money spread out everywhere, but there just doesn't seem to be a lot of money in my world these days. Anyway, damn, strap just came loose from my backpack again. Speaking of things that need to be solved with money, since I lack the skills to repair the backpack, or the tools for that matter, nor do I know anybody that can help me with that. Anyway, Say I went to, oh, this is neat. Look, here's one of the irrigation canals. I assume this is what feeds the corn. I can't say that I've ever noticed it flowing like this before. This is pretty neat. Really fascinated by how the irrigation works out here and all the old Salt River Project irrigation valves that are all over the valley, like this one right here. You know, a lot of people drive by these don't even realize what they are, but you can hear the water rushing underneath, and apparently they've got that valve open to let that canal go out there and feed the corn. So, I never really noticed how the, oh wow, that looks like one of the new metal style poles already in that location. I never really noticed how that power main right here by our truck entrance for GYR3 and KRV3, how it crosses right there to the other side of 79th Avenue, over by PHI7, which is another Amazon facility directly across the street. Anyways, I was saying, yesterday afternoon, yesterday feels like it was 2 different days, almost 3 different days. So I had my morning where I had the issue with walking home from work and saw the police, rather than actually doing something about the large group of homeless people next to the Costco smoking fentanyl with all kinds of stuff that, you know, like all kinds of stuff loitering, and just, they really shouldn't be there like that, you know. Instead of actually stopping them, actually, you know, pulling over and getting out of their vehicles and maybe making some arrests for public drug use and maybe checking some IDs and checking for some warrants, the police instead chose to just block the road illegally. Like, at this point, we got the cops breaking the laws. They just illegally blocked the traffic on Oak Street, which proved to be a problem for some of the people actually driving on Oak Street. And then, yeah, so there was that technically was yesterday. And that feels like it was 2-3 days ago for me right now. And I've explained before, I don't really experience time the way normal people do due to mental illness. So I really have to look at days and dates on things, written on things, for me to put it in perspective. Because that event really does feel like it was 3 days ago. But that was yesterday, May the 5th. Today is Saturday, May the 6th. So that felt like it was a day in and of itself. After that, I just went home, went to bed. I was very tired. And one thing I don't think that I mentioned about that is I got a ride most of the way home with Miss Love. Oh yes, Red Love. I haven't mentioned her in my vlog for quite some time. She wasn't going to work for a while, and come to find out it was because her car broke down. And she just simply stopped going to work because she didn't have a way to get here. Apparently, it never occurred to her to, you know, use public transit. So many people were just like, oh, I can't ride the bus. I need to get another car. Well, she ended up financing herself a fancy SUV that has butt warmers in the seats through Carvana. Apparently, she didn't get the memo that Carvana is a terrible company that has done horrible, terrible things to its customers, and doesn't really check their used vehicles worth a damn before pushing them off on customers. But I could seriously digress talking about how many things are wrong with Carvana. But anyway, the vehicle seems like a nice vehicle for what it's worth. In fact, it seems to me like she's seriously financially overextending herself. But I mean, who am I to judge her finances? And I don't know what her living situation is. I mean, she has told me that she's single. But, you know, different people define single different ways. I mean, single to her might just mean that she's not married or that she doesn't have a boyfriend. But, you know, who knows? I don't know, you know, who she lives with. She could live with an entire family. She could live with, you know, a bunch of friends, or she could live alone. I don't know. It's kind of come to my attention that most people that say they're single aren't single in the capacity that I am. of being just 100% completely alone and coming home to a lonely apartment that they exist in completely by themselves with just no support system whatsoever. So I mean, if she's got some other support in her life, then yeah, that vehicle's probably affordable for her. Anyway, not trying to judge Miss Love's choice in getting a vehicle, and I still find her reasonably attractive. But yeah, it was kind of an awkward moment in the morning with her because she had said would give me a ride to work, and I ended up leaving work a little bit early. Not very early. In fact, I ended up leaving the building hardly early at all because I got out the building a good solid 10 minutes early and then realized I left my cell phone plugged in on a charger over at Dock 335, so I had to walk all the freaking way back there to get it. And then by the time I was walking out the door, it was already like 5:25 a.m. and there were large amounts of people coming out the door. So so much for getting to leave early. Anyway, I noticed the Brazilian woman, whose name I still can't remember, sitting at the table, and I haven't really been talking to her lately. And for a while there, she was regularly giving me a ride most of the way home. And I know she's also single and lives near me, and I've mentioned I also find her quite attractive. So, I just sat down and started chatting with her, and I know that for some reason her and Miss Love absolutely don't get along, to the point that they both told me that management keeps them physically separated. I always make sure, even though we all work in the same department, that they try to keep them on opposite schedules. And on a night when they're both working, they try to make sure that one of them is working on the north side exclusively and the other one working on the south side exclusively, because apparently those old hens bicker. Both of them have told me their side of the story of what the problem is with the other one. It all seems stupid to me, but anyway. But it was kind of an awkward moment. I told Miss Love that I would be waiting at the picnic tables outside. Well, I didn't expect I would be sitting there talking to the Brazilian woman, and I was. And she and rather than Miss Love coming over, and she just pulled over kind of near where I could see her and honked the horn, and then yelled out the window, "Hey Dan, come here! Hey Dan, are you coming?" At which point I did, and abruptly left. Brazilian woman, so that was awkward. God, I didn't even get to the worst part of what happened to me yesterday. I barely got through what felt was my one of 3 days that I lived through yesterday. So yeah, that was in the morning. She didn't take me all the way home. Miss Love didn't. She has a problem with driving on freeways. I don't really understand that. Although my stepmother, when I was growing up, also had the same issue. Although the traffic on the freeways now is way much more than what it was when I was a kid in the 80s and late 70s. And my stepmother refused to drive on freeways. But anyway, personally, I think somebody who can't handle driving on freeways shouldn't be allowed to have a driver's license. But I digress. Anyway, so Miss Love just drove down Van Buren the entire way. Which is kind of funny because the Brazilian woman, the last time I rode with her, she said that she wasn't comfortable driving down Van Buren because she was told that Van Buren was a very bad part of town and she was worried something might happen. And I told her that, well, your chances of getting in an accident are astronomically higher on this freeway. She goes, "Oh, no, I don't mean an accident." So I don't know if she's paranoid about like a carjacking or something. I mean, does shit happen on Van Buren? Oh, yeah, it does. But I never ever hear of carjacking. People just, the worst thing I ever hear involving a vehicle on Van Buren is cars hitting pedestrians. Granted, most of the time those pedestrians are twacked out of their mind and they're jaywalking in front of the cars, but regardless, that seems to be the worst thing I hear involving cars and pedestrians. Occasional car theft, but I mean that's not while you're driving your car. Anyway, different people are paranoid about different things, whatever. The Brazilian woman paranoid about driving down a street in a bad neighborhood. The Miss Love paranoid about driving on a freeway. So she went down Van Buren the entire way. I don't know where she got in her head that I needed to get off at 7th Avenue. I don't know. I guess maybe I told her I did my bus transfer near there. But Anyway, I told her that, yeah, I live closest to 44th Street. So she ended up dropping me off at the Circle K there at 44th and 44th and Van Buren, which I've shot many videos over there. There's a lot of homeless person-related craziness that happens at that location. Anyway, from there, that's when I went home, saw the police being very ineffective, blocking traffic, as opposed to actually, I don't know, doing real police work and getting out of their vehicles and investigating all the fentanyl consumption that's going on right there at the Arcadia Costco. Anyway, went home, went to sleep. That was my first Cinco de Mayo. My second Cinco de Mayo involved getting up, and I shot quite a few videos on that. Hopefully I get them all uploaded, but my phone kept running out of space. Actually, it was my biggest issue. It wasn't as before it got all where it was just crashing constantly, but yeah, I kept running out of space, and yeah, I went to the bank, went to the other bank, and mostly just moved money so I would have money in order to be able to use Waymo. And I was wanting to kind of surprise Rob by showing up there and then leaving in a vehicle that didn't have a driver. And I called him as I was riding the 44, and he's like, "Oh yeah, your car is on the lift. Your car is on the lift. Here, I'm working on it. It's, I need to work on it, and hopefully I get it done for you tonight." And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll get off the phone so you can work. I didn't tell him I was on my way, but I figured, yeah, be there in about 40 minutes, whatever, 30, 40 minutes. Well, when I got there, and I did shoot video of that, I got there to find his lot completely locked up, and his yard completely locked up, and I'm not there. Tried to call him. It sounded like he was driving, and he couldn't really hear me, and then he hung up. After that, I figured he could call me back. He didn't, not a good sign. So obviously he lied to me about my vehicle being worked on and being on the lift, but the plot thickens. So anyway, I did some riding around on the bus, went over, tried to check out that coffee shop. I wanted to check out the Bring Your Own Pothead coffee shop, Flight 420, to find out it's already out of business. After that, I went home. Now, Priscilla was texting me something about wanting to buy me dinner, that she was getting burritos from Chipotle, and wanted to, said she'd get me one. And then she was, instead of communicating in full and complete sentences so I can understand what the fuck she means, she kept just sending me these messages on Snapchat that were just a couple of words out of context, so I couldn't make heads or tail of it. Well, and on top of that, that's when I started having issues with my phone, like crashing all the time. And so I don't think I was getting all the messages. And I would open apps and then the phone would crash. So I'm having problems with my phone, and she's just being really vague. And she's like, "Well, can you?" And at some point, she's something like, "Well, can you pick it up?" I said, "I'm walking. I'm on foot. Like, you expect me to pick up fucking food on foot? No. That's not happening." But I mean, she was really vague. Like, in these messages she was sending me were just contradicting each other. And honestly, lately I've just not wanted to be around her. But I mean, food's expensive, and I'm not eating very well these days. So I mean, if she's offering me a Chipotle burrito, I'm going to make an effort to try to get that. But my God, her messages were just confusing. Anyway, I ended up going over to Costco. Well, actually, I got a rodeo cheeseburger at the Burger King because I was just so hungry. I just didn't even feel like walking all the way to Costco. And then I ended up going to Costco and getting a big ass slice of pizza, and bought a cake, like a little lemon, like blueberry lemon cake loaf breakfast kind of thing, which I've ate some of that. It's pretty yummy. A little expensive. It was like $9, but I figure it should last me for a few days. Anyway, by the time I got home, I was just absolutely exhausted, mentally and physically, and fell asleep. Well, when I woke up, and this is when my third Cinco de Mayo started, I woke up, I want to say maybe about 10:30, 11 p.m.-ish, and messages from her saying she didn't hear, that it showed in the Snapchat app that she tried to call me with the Snapchat app. Like, my internet stuff's not working. Why are you trying to use a voice over IP type app to call me? Why not just make a straight fucking phone call? Of course, I probably wouldn't have answered that either, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, honestly, if she'd have just checked with text messages and communicated in full and complete sentences so I could fucking understand her, there would have been no miscommunication, I don't think. But anyway, that woman frustrates me so fucking much. She thinks I should marry her. Yeah, Yeah, we were an item for like well over a decade. You failed to keep the kitchen and bathroom clean test, and you're still smoking cigarettes, which is fucking disgusting. So yeah, no, you're not wife material, not even close. So anyway, yeah, I woke up and so I saw the message from her. I didn't even respond to her. At this point, I'm just so frustrated with her. I don't even feel like communicating with her. And then I see a message from eBay telling me that my little mini amplifier had arrived. Well, I've mentioned how I've been using this little amplifier speaker thing to listen to MP3s off micro SD cards, 2 gig micro SD cards at work, and how much I've enjoyed that at work. Well, at one point I thought that one didn't work, and I had looked into what it would cost, because I was having problems with the charging cable. And I looked into what it would cost to purchase one, and found one really, really cheap, and I thought, well, I better at least see if the Amazon Basics charging cable works on that one, which of course it did, before ordering that one. Well, I put it on my watch list on eBay. Well, as a result of it being on my watch list, the seller made me an offer I couldn't refuse and offered me like 33% off their already low price they were offering it at. And with it being brand new in the box with all the accessories, and I've been using this device for a week straight at work without the accessories, like, yeah, I want to own one. Will I bring this other one to work? No, probably not, because that's going to create a question as to what is mine and what is Amazon's, and am I stealing stuff from work? And I'm not trying to have that complication happen here. That would be a shitty, stupid reason to get fired. But I love the device, and I definitely want to own one. And I think after the discount, it was like, I don't know, 12, 13 bucks. So I get a message saying that has been delivered. Awesome. So I go to my mailbox. Well, I look first out the door. It's not sitting by the door. So it's like, it's delivered U.S. mail. Okay. So I go to my mailbox. And mind you, I don't check my mailbox very often. It's a good thing I did. And I probably should be checking it more, because I do think I have a tax refund coming, but that's a separate thing. So anyway, I see the box, some other envelopes I bring in, and I always try to, when I first come in, to flip through the envelopes, just see, is there anything important here? Because a lot of times, like, I'll sit my mail down, and then I never get back to going through it for months, and it just gets misplaced because I forget that it exists. And I just don't really have a good system for that, and have yet to ever really come up with a good system for that. Anyway, I noticed that I got something from ADOT. Well, I've already received my tags. I've already received my duplicate copy of my title, which I had asked for, and I've already received my tags, my stickers, to go on my license plates, which I, paid to re-up my registration for 2 years. So I'm wondering what they could possibly send me. So I open it right away, and it's a notice letting them know that the vehicle has been impounded, and it was mailed on May 1st, and it's my Saturn that's been impounded. So this is telling me that it's been out of Rob's possession since at least May 1st, probably sooner. Anyway, I'm distressed. I would have liked to have done something about that today. I didn't, because I thought it was Sunday all day. Obviously, tomorrow's Sunday. I won't be able to do shit, but that's the first thing I'm going to have to deal with on Monday. And I'm just flabbergasted, because apparently at this point, like, not only has Rob been lying to me about the progress he's been making on my car, but he hasn't even been honest about the fact that the car's not even in his possession. Now, it might be back in his possession now, and maybe he was hoping he could resolve that situation without me knowing about it. But yeah, ADOT notified me. So I don't know how I'm going to have to resolve this. I hope it doesn't end up with me completely losing my car, because every time I've ever had a car impounded, well, not every time, but most times I've had a car impounded, and to me this is one of the biggest injustices against the poor. There are so many fees involved with these third-party contract tow companies that do the impounding for cities. And then the storage charges. And of course, the notice was sent on the 1st, but I didn't get it until yesterday at like 11 p.m. I can just imagine, like, the storage charges, usually it always ends up being so expensive, the funds that is needed to get my vehicle back, that I just end up losing my vehicle. And I'm just crushed that that my Saturn's probably just going to end up getting crushed just as a result of me being poor. And honestly, I'm just thinking of, it's just, life is becoming more than I can bear, and I'm just really, really thinking of going to a company, going to one of these countries that where the government performs euthanization for people whose lives are just not worth living anymore.